What's going on? You already know what it is, man. Another week in wrestling, but it is a go-home edition, so to speak. A little bit of a mini-sode of the Flow Show for the love of wrestling. You already know what it is. Brian, Andrew, Quincy Jones, go. What's going on, man? We're going to be doing some predictions. As you guys already know, we ain't got to remind you that AEW is going to be hosting Full Gear this Saturday, man. It goes down live. You gonna watch it live, Brian, or are you gonna try to recap it? I mean, I actually bought it. I put some money down and bought it. I did it last time for Double or Nothing because I didn't end up going to any. Like, I just watched it from my crib. Internet was being all weird, so I was like, all right, I guess I have to be an actual stand-up wrestling fan and shell out some cash. You know what I mean? But it just sounds like I don't give them enough money going to these shows all the damn time anyway. Right. So I think they can pay me back.
I'm going to the Clippers Timberwolves game. So I'm going to miss Full Gear, but I'm hoping that there's no spoiler. I'm going to try really hard to stay off my phone.
So, I mean, to be honest, to see, you got Tom Gugliotta, you know what I'm saying? You got Kevin Garnett, Stephon Marbury. Those are the three guys that I would just totally miss. They don't play anymore? Those guys,
I'm hoping they're still there.
Shit.
That's why I bought the ticket.
Shit. I haven't heard Timberwolves in so long, but it was one of those, like, I always talk about this. And again, go check out the LA Clips Forum podcast, man. If you got, I mean, obviously, if you're a fan of wrestling, you're a fan of a lot of different other sports going out there. And I mean, I love basketball as well. So it's like, I always remember as a Clippers fan, I love the Clippers. But then when you hear them, they're in town against who? Wait, Jordan's in town? Wait, Sean Camp and Gary Payton's coming? Like, you would buy tickets to go watch them pretty much get balled on. It kind of sucked, but it was exciting and the tickets were low.
So the Clipper community is pretty loyal to Patrick Beverley, who recently got traded to the Timberwolves. So
I did see that, yeah.
So basically this game is so we could go see the tribute video right beforehand. And the Clippers debut their new jerseys with the San Diego colors.
What are those colors? Do we know yet, or that's the part of the reveal?
It's the light blue and orange that they used to wear in San Diego.
Blue and orange. Okay, it kind of reminds me of like the Nuggets a little bit back in the day. Yeah, like the
light blue and yellow.
Yeah. Okay, I got to check that out. Yeah, I didn't realize they were changing colors.
It's just for like a special alternate jersey.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen those before. Okay, that's what I was about to ask, if that was like a special thing or they actually relocated and all that. I mean, I know you said they were supposed to be building them, or no, you want them to build a new stadium, right, for the Clippers?
Oh, they're gonna have one in Inglewood, right next to SoFi Stadium.
Oh yeah, where Forum used to be. That's at least if they're gonna rebuild the Forum for them, that's cool. I'm not tripping in. Anyways, man, let's get into some Full Gear predictions, man. Let's I guess there's no other way to do it but just kind of get right into it. Obviously conspicuous by his the absence of the waves and the hot takes. Mac Lowe is handling some business. Hearts go out to Mac Lowe. But yeah, we're gonna be trying to get together for another episode later this week. But we do have his predictions by proxy. He let us know, and man, this guy, I think he deserves to be in Duke's poker room. This guy's throwing down some good numbers.
Well, he's the defending.
I was gonna ask because I know it's not
champion.
Me. I know it's not.
Yeah,
me.
I know it's not me. So
I wouldn't be surprised. Usually, I think I've won like maybe once.
I know.
And then it's been you guys mostly.
Yeah, me and Mac kind of switch off there and there, and
I'm like Mankind, and you're like The Rock and Triple H. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of waiting in the ring.
But we haven't defended this in a couple months, and I don't. Did we even do this for SummerSlam?
No, I don't think so.
So it's been a couple months, so I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, 100. I mean, we got 2 added matches to the card just last night. One of the buy-in matches, and also, I guess just the one buy-in match. Usually they do like what, more than one sometimes, but
it depends on how special the buy-in match is. I feel like
that's true.
Makes sense.
I know last year, not last year, the first Full Gear, they had like I think 2 matches, but it was a long ass night. That was that night with that unsanctioned match, the lights out match with Moxley and Kenny Omega. That was holy shit.
Yeah.
Let's just say I got there at 5 and we went home at like 11 at night. It was kind of crazy. But this is going to be a long night too. But dude, there's a lot of matches. We were talking about this. A lot of matches on this card that kind of made it hard. We like to do not only just the predictions, but the confidence points, and try to really push, how we think the match is going to go. But this was kind of a little difficult to kind of.
Well, the thing with AEW, there's two factors that I think go into Full Gear. One is we saw Tony Khan's predictions, or we saw Tony Khan's booking on his little notepad.
True.
So we're a little like,
that's true. Yeah.
So we're in that stage of like, is he gonna follow through with some of that stuff, or is he just gonna throw
yeah, is he gonna try to, like, at least if he's gonna still go with it, he's gonna try to book something exciting to get us there, or yeah, I totally know what you mean.
And then, like, when WWE does pay-per-views, we know it's building to the next one or something like that.
True,
that's next month, or like, hey, if something happens at Money in the Bank, it has stakes for SummerSlam, which is like maybe a month or two later. With AEW, the next major pay-per-view they have is in February or March, so
yeah, they have a few special, like, I don't know if they're gonna do that Winter's Coming thing again, like they did last year. I mean, that's when Kenny Omega won the championship.
So titles and stuff could change hands on TV, but
true.
There's some matches that you're kind of like in a when you're making your predictions that you're kind of like, yeah, but that's more of a pay-per-view match, and they don't have that coming up. So this is more of a TV match.
Yeah, the only other thing I remember is just Beach Break in January. That's it.
And that's still technically on TV, So it's,
yeah. But they treat it like, they have a whole change of set, and then they make it like a big deal. But yeah, that's
so some of these you're just kind of like I have to tell myself with my gut to follow through what I think is the right call. But sometimes I'm looking at it like, for example, when Brian Cage won that number one contenders match way back when.
When he debuted,
that's a perfect TV championship match, right? You wouldn't book that at your next pay-per-view. But some of these you're just like, all right, is that a TV number one contender, or is that pay-per-view number one contender kind of thing? And
yeah, like they had Hager and Moxley at one time. Yeah, I mean, and not to say that's anything to say about Hager, but I don't know if people are going to be in a hurry to spend money to watch Hager in a title match, you know what I mean? So at least not at that point in his career, right. You know what I mean? So but yeah, I hear what you're saying, because like that's how I was thinking too. I'm like, okay, if this person wins, where could they go with this, or who else can come out of nowhere and try to because that's the thing, like, is the face going to win? Is the heel going to win? And if so, is there a face or a heel for them to work with post this? Or are they going to continue this? So yeah, there was a lot of what ifs, but we were talking about this off the call, like, that's one thing we can appreciate as fans, just wrestling fans, not AEW fans, but just fans of pro wrestling, where like their booking has us thinking in different possible ways, as opposed to, this is definitely going this way. And, we've talked about, there's been a few times where, whether it's a Britt Baker match against somebody, maybe on TV, like we were just talking about, where we're like, okay, it's a good match for her, but we think we know how the outcome is going to go. This was a little different, man. Like a lot of this, I mean, even when we did see the little sneak peek, so to speak, from Tony Khan, the card looked dope. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was disappointed in what it could be. I was just curious how we were going to get there, because there were certain things that hadn't happened yet.
Right.
Granted, some of those things had, formulated and the shoe dropped on a lot of these things, but now we got some other, changes, like slight changes, but doesn't make the card any less exciting, man. So I'm gonna start it off. We got the buy-in. We got obviously 4 members of, I believe, the quarterfinalists, because they haven't even gotten to the semifinals. We're still waiting. I kept thinking that Statlander and Ruby Soho were supposed to fight last night, but I guess that might be next week.
Maybe it's on Rampage.
I don't know, because I thought that they would talk. Maybe it wasn't on Rampage. I could have missed it. They usually do the match update for the next shows and all that. I didn't see it advertised for either card, but I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too.
But it's Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida versus their respective opponents in the brackets, Jaime Hayter and Nyla Rose, in a tag team match. I think this is pretty good. This is how you create more excitement for the tournament, which honestly has been pretty good. Last year's was, slow but groundbreaking for them. They had to kind of outreach to a few different international stars to fill in the spots, but now this time around they got a lot more, of their own stars in there. I think it's been pretty good matches they've been putting up so far. I feel like this has been way better than the Queen's Crown tournament matches. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Again,
you didn't have to do much to be better. You just had to have one match go 7 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had to just like outlast like 3-minute matches, right? And not win would roll up. And that's not a knock on the women. It's just that booking is whack, dude. It's just like, you know, you could have made the tournament feel good, but you know, whatever. This ain't about them. Anyways, this ain't that kind of podcast. So let me see. I'm gonna go for Jaime Hayter and Nyla Rose. I'm gonna lock that in for 3 points. Okay. Only reason is I don't think both Thunder Rosa and Shida could win. I mean, they could. I think I said that my final four included Nyla Rose, Statlander, Thunder Rosa, and I can't remember who else is in the other match. But I think Nyla Rose is going to get a big win over Hikaru before she possibly gets an upset in the I guess the Eliminator, the tournament for the TBS Championship.
The TBS Championship is a little odd because there's people in it that I feel like.
Oh, Jade. It's supposed to be Jade and Red Velvet, right? Do they already have their match?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think Jade will probably be in that final four as well.
I feel like Thunder Rosa and Shida are actually two main event for the TBS Championship.
I agree.
Like they should, but I get why they're in the tournament.
You know what? Actually, I take that back. Thunder Rosa, I think she can fit it because before she wasn't looked at as a full-fledged AEW member, like she was still like technically NWA. And then shortly after, when she had that lights out match with Britt, then she was finally, you know, all elite. She got the graphic and all that. But since then, we haven't seen her. I mean, we haven't really seen a whole lot unless you're watching her on Dark and Elevation, which personally I don't. Not a shot. Just saying I don't really have enough time in the day to invest in it. But you heard, I mean, you know, if you watch Dynamite, like she started the match and then Britt Baker, she was in the match shortly after, and the crowd went crazy with them just standing there. You know what I mean? They missed that shit, you know? So I can definitely agree with you on her popularity and her reaction, but for someone that still hasn't been really established in AEW in the women's division side, I think if they're not immediately going to have her go up against Britt Baker for the title, that have, you know, building her up with the TBS championship or having someone like her to build up the TBS championship isn't a bad idea either. But again, you got a specimen like Jade. So like, I mean, if it's TBS TV title, the must watch champion, she kind of has that factor to her. You know what I mean? Like, so I believe that there's a few different people that, yeah, it was cool to have them, which obviously I think were evident by the buys they got in the tournament, because if they're already top 5 ranked, then they should be going for the world title. You know what I mean? But like I said, I can agree and disagree, but I think Thunder Rosa, she could use it. I'm not against her.
Well, I don't mind her being in. I don't mind her being in it, but there is this idea in my head that like with the certain track record, like Shida and Thunder Rosa would be in the should be winning this championship based on their track record, which I think that like I do believe it should go to Jade, right?
Yeah,
but I do think with their track record they should be in line to win it as well. But if they win it, it takes them away from the main event scene, which in my opinion they need people in the main event.
That's true. That, you know, yeah, when you say it like that, because then you take people away from the chase of the world title. Now they're on that chase. But yeah, that's true. I mean, Jade, there's a few people in that line, you know, in that group of girls that they can, you know, you can split the difference. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I think the women's division would instead of it just being some standalone extra title, because to me in the women's division, it's deep in numbers, but it's not deep in quality. I don't mean that as disrespect to the women's. Just
no. It's I mean you can only use the same people so many times to help other people. You know, so
like if they option C the TBS championship, that would be pretty cool. You know, it's just like you win it, you have your little run because you're like, I want to be a champion, but eventually you cash it in so you could face Britt Baker, whoever's champion at the time. And
I mean, if they don't option C it, I could see it being something more like maybe once every year at a certain event, it's a champion versus champion type of situation, both titles on the line, like winner takes all type of situation. I could see that. But yeah, I gave Hayter and Nyla Rose 3. Mac had Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida for 8. That's right. 8 point. Who puts 8 points on a buy-in match, dude?
I don't know, but he's the champion, so maybe he knows more than we do.
Man, he got an inside track, I guess. There's something.
Maybe he's got Tony Khan on. He's like, hey, so
he got TK on the horn, I guess.
Hey, let me peep that notepad real quick.
He's like, let me just rip that out. Who do you got for predictions?
Since I'm not gonna lie, I would have probably gave this a much lower number if everyone else gave it a lower number. But since Mac hit us with that 8,
pushed it,
I was like, all right, I'm gonna give Thunder Rosa and Shida 5 points because it is a buy-in match. I'm trying not to focus too much on like what does it mean for the TBS tournament. I'm trying to focus on the fact that it's a buy-in match, and usually in the buy-in matches, you make the fans somewhat happy, like to get them started for the show.
That's true. So
I'm gonna go with Thunder Rosa and Shida with 5
honestly points. With all 4 of the women in the match, it's gonna be a good match actually.
I think it's gonna be really good, and it could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, usually they'll have like the whatever, like Wheeler, Yuta, and the best friends versus they'll have whatever. But yeah, this is pretty good. This I'm a fan of Jaime Hayter, and Nyla Rose. She gets a reaction every time she's out there. Hikaru Shida, she had a banger not too long ago with Serena Deeb, and obviously Thunder Rosa is still getting the reaction as well. So
to make your point though, also let me see if it's here. Hold on. The TBS championship. To make your point though, like it might be in their best interest to let like Nyla Rose win and Hayter win, because like if you think about it, you want to put it in a situation where like maybe the baby faces will win in the tournament, you know what I mean? And so you want the heels to get their win here.
Well, yeah, there's always money in fan investment in the journey, in the chase. So
because if we were making predictions on the tournament, I would have probably been like, oh, I think Thunder Rosa and Shida will probably move forward. You know what I mean? So because I think Shida versus Ruby Soho in the semis, and
that'd be a good match. I was thinking Nyla Rose versus Statlander for some reason would be a banger, and then Rosa versus Jade would be interesting as well.
Either one would be a banger, right? But I do believe Thunder Rosa for sure is moving on.
Yeah, I believe so.
So like if to get her 2 wins in a row, is it necessary? But I don't know. This isn't the WWE with 50-50 booking, so he spent a lot of time on this buy-in match.
Yeah. I was about to say, but moving forward, so I got Hayter and Nyla Rose for 3. Matt got Thunder Rosa and Shida for 8, and then you got Thunder Rosa and Shida for 5. Moving on, we got newly added to the mix, which again, I think I rather would have seen 2 singles matches, but this is how you're able to stretch those matches for later. So Cody Rhodes teaming up with Pac versus Malakai Black and Andrade El Idolo. I'm going Malakai and Andrade for 4 points. Okay. Mac picked Cody and Pac for 7. I'm thinking that the heels are going to win so we can push for, I don't know if we necessarily need Malakai versus Cody 4. Is it 4 now? I think it's 4, but they can switch dance partners for once. I think Andrade versus Cody part 2 would be great. And again, I've been saying Malakai and Pac, I mean, they're doing a great job keeping them away from each other in the sense, but yeah, they need to book that pretty soon as well.
So my take on this, and I have Black and Andrade for 1 point, because I don't know if Cody booking is going to come into play here, because this seems like a throwaway match. And if it's a throwaway match, I do feel like sometimes Cody wins those matches just to boost his star power or whatever he's trying to do.
So Brock Anderson comes down and turns his back on the Nightmare Family. Cool.
Exactly. So, but my take is I don't think Black and Andrade had matches at All Out, right? So I do think this is their first pay-per-view match.
I want to say you're right.
Because I know the Cody feud was going on. It started back then, but I don't think it happened at the
Yeah, all those matches were TV matches, and then Andrade has had only a few matches here and there, but it's all been on TV.
So being that this is their first pay-per-view, I do think Black and Andrade are going to win. The reason I gave it 1 point is because of the Cody Island stuff. But I also want to throw this out there. It's because so is Andrade officially part of the House of Black?
I don't know. It's weird. Like, I heard that Malakai made some reference to a stable. I'm hoping it's not, including, because it's so weird. I'm like, so FTR is like for hire, but then like I was telling my brother, I'm like, dude, I see FTR with more continuity with Andrade and Malakai than I do with their own crew, the Pinnacle. I'm like, the last time you seen them, you technically didn't see them because they were all together in ski masks beating the shit out of Darby. So it's like we can't even say technically it was them because we can't prove it, right?
Yeah, it seems like they haven't been on TV together.
Yeah, like
sense of the inner city,
and then like
the
MJF
circle stuff.
MJF will show up just to collect the bag, and then like just be like Pinnacle forever, guys. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you guys, like, if it was me, I'd say the Pinnacle is just you, Sean Spears, and Wardlow, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? But
Pinnacle on paper has the potential actions in AEW, but for some reason it's just
a weird build for them.
It falls so deep into the mid card.
Yeah,
like it's like it has potential to be up there with the elite. Like if they had a feud with the elite, for example.
I mean, with the talent involved, absolutely, dude. I mean, like the person who you got a guy that looks like Wardlow. MJF is great. Like he's MJF. You got one of the best tag teams in FTR. And then you got a guy like Sean Spears, who even though we believe in him, like he looks more believable among those guys. He has been able to get a more like I've been enjoying this other side of his character, like the confidence and like him just being totally in love with the chairs. Like it's been kind of funny to me, but like he's a psychopath, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a good fit for him. You know what I mean? He can be that wild card. He can be that, I don't want to call him the Brian Pillman, but he can be that loose cannon for them because everyone else is more on their, like MGF is on his Ric Flair because he talks that talk and he dresses the part, but you got Wardlow who's like the enforcer. You got two enforcers, or AKA the new school brainbusters in FTR. Then you know what I mean? There's like, it's almost like you got a Barry Windham. You got it's like two different renditions of the Horseman in one, but it's dope. You know what I mean? It could be really great, but like you said, it stinks of mid card right now. It's weird. It's real weird.
What I like about Sean Spears, and we all know I'm a big Sean Spears fan.
Same
is he does a lot of the little things really well in terms of looking at the hard camera, like at the right time. His comedic delivery when he has to do it is there. It's and the thing, and then when he has
it's not too over the top. It's not too over the top when he does have to do a comedic type of whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
and when he has to do like the heel stuff, he does it to a certain point and he sells it so well. The thing is, he's just not. The timing in his career is not that great because he bloomed in NXT in his like mid to late 30s. So now he's in AEW, which is like if AEW stayed with their original roster, he would have probably been at least in a major TNT championship situation.
I agree. Like right? he could have been really close, if not a little bit further than he was in NXT when he peaked. He was like top mid card, like sort of knocking, like maybe a few feet away from top main event door, but didn't get to the door, but still, someone that you would take seriously when he came out.
And he was before the North American Championship too, which
exactly. Which I was gonna say, if they would have had that, he definitely would have he would have been a guy to hold that belt. You know what I mean?
So I just like getting back to I don't know how we got over. Oh, because we're comparing factions, right? Black and Andrade. It's if I could throw something out there, the thing that they have in common is that they're former NXT champions that were mistreated on the main roster. And there's somebody else in this feud that was a former NXT champion.
I was about to say Pac is also a former NXT guy that got mistreated on the main roster. So that's kind of poetic right there.
So I'm thinking that nobody likes Cody Rhodes.
They're like, so hey, we all got hair and he's blonde. Fuck this guy.
I wouldn't be surprised if
none of us were born in America except this guy. Fuck him.
if Pac left the Death Triangle and joined with Andrade and Alistair, because
I'm not against it, because the Lucha Bros, they already have Alex, so they can survive. They didn't need Pac, but the dynamic was like, whoa. But it'd be a shame if they left before the introduction of these imminent trios championships. When you think about the guys like the SuperKliq and who I call Jurassic Charisma instead of Captain Charisma. That's a Jurassic Express and Christian, which he still fits the build because he's Jurassic. So, but he's still getting it done. But next match, SuperKliq versus Jurassic Express and Christian Cage, Falls Count Anywhere. Short and sweet. I did like the tease with the Bobby Fish stuff.
I did too.
Because I love kayfabe. I just want to say I love kayfabe. I love those that preserve kayfabe. He just literally went on record as, someone asked him, I think it was on the AEW podcast. You're like, have you spoken to Adam Cole? You guys obviously, followed each other's careers, like, all throughout this, you guys' all career. And it was like, yeah, I've seen him. We've seen each other around. And then that they were in the middle of asking him another question. He's like, yeah, he just acts like he doesn't know me around here, which is sort of weird. I'm about to figure what's up with that. And then fucking like 2 days later, he's like, hey guys, I want to introduce you to Bobby Fish. I'm like, okay, I love kayfabe. I love thinking one way, getting swerved. You know what I mean? So it was a cool little surprise. However, because of that, I am going to lock in on the SuperKliq for 6 points on that one.
Okay.
Mac Lowe also had SuperKliq for 3.
I have SuperKliq for 3 as well.
For sure. Yeah, I just feel like with it being, Falls Count Anywhere, like anything and anyone could, they, not to mention they already have guys like Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler,
Yeah, the only thing is, and I'm going to bring this up, I'm going to sound like a broken record today, is who benefits the most from this?
True.
And Jungle Boy would benefit a lot.
Yeah,
but I feel like they do this thing with Jungle Boy every year where they build him up to a certain point where it's exciting, then they remind everyone that he's not as good as the top tier. And then,
I was gonna say, like, he's like, hey, don't worry, he's still young, he's still blooming, he's still blossoming, he has lots of time to take these L's like we need him to, and like, but this guy Adam Cole, we need to get him hot right now. That's how I feel too. Like but they have something with him, so they're trying to.
The SuperKliq doesn't necessarily need the win either, but at the same time, like, I'd also prefer the SuperKliq just ended this and then we moved on. So
I'm trying to figure out where they're gonna make. Maybe they're just like, all right, everyone, we're just waiting for December and see if Kyle O'Reilly's crossing the line. I don't know.
And I think that would be the case, because I say either A, Kyle O'Reilly does leave and he should, and it would be crazy if some guy just comes in, beats up a bunch of people, and Bob Fish and Adam Cole are just standing there like, what's going on? But the guy's not attacking them two, he's only attacking the others.
Well, he has like a mask on or something, or he has like a hood on, and then he just hits like a sick ass air guitar. They're like, oh shit, it's Kyle. Yeah, and then
I think like an Undisputed versus Elite storyline going into Revolution.
Well, that was a good little tease that they had too, where he said, I know you're the new guy here, but it's undisputed that this is the era of the Elite. I was like, okay. And then, I'm watching everyone's facial expressions. I was like, oh, okay.
Now we gotta do some investigating and figure out when Roderick Strong's contract's up. So
he's locked in, I think, for another 2 years, I believe, which is unfortunate. Now I don't want to say that because I do like what he's doing with Diamond Mine. I don't know if it's doing anything better for him than what he was doing before. It seems like he's getting all the other guys over more than him, but I do like what he's doing. He just never, like I said, he was just one of the guys I was worried about when they broke up. And then when everyone left, I was like, oof, that's kind of weird.
Roderick Strong's cool. I think he's one of the best workers. It's just like, but sometimes you're just looking at him and like, well, you're not Adam Cole or Kyle O'Reilly.
You're like, why can't you talk? Why can't you be Adam? It's like, why can't you talk like them? He should have nothing rubbed off all those years now. It's just his promo voice to me. That's which is like the tale of the toll for a lot of guys. Anyways, or did you say who you had for that?
I have 3 points.
Inner Circle versus Men of the Year and American Top Team. Minneapolis street fight. They had to make sure it's not just a Minnesota street fight. It's actually hailing from Minneapolis. They kept correcting each other all night. I don't know what that was about. You know what? I blame Mac Lowe on my recklessness. He had Inner Circle down for
10.
10. I put Inner Circle down for 9.
Oh man.
The only reason I did that is because they keep making this big deal about, you know, and we're reunited, baby, and we're back and we're this. And I'm like, yeah, they're not going to do all that and have them. I mean, they just got beat the fuck up. I was like, man, Chris Jericho is just really letting Dan Lambert, like he let Dan Lambert do everything to him. Fucking put him in a power bomb and shit and fucking lion tamer. I was like, what is going on?
So I have Inner Circle for 2 points.
Okay.
So I agree that Inner Circle is probably going to win just based on the trajectory of the storyline and the fact that most likely it's going to be left to Lambert versus Jericho at the end, and most likely Jericho's going to win that.
Yeah, because they already reiterated like, and the plan is to have Lambert beat Jericho. So I'm like, okay, so that means you're going to make sure.
The only reason I'm not super hot on it, and going back to the broken record thing, is who would benefit the most from this, and that would probably be the Men of the Year.
Well, see, I was torn about that when I thought about it, because I was going to ask you, do you see this happening? And if so, for how much longer? Do you see the top team still, you know, rolling with them after this at this point? Or do you think they've had to finally go and do some training or some shit? I don't know what their schedule's like, but I guess I wondered, like, okay, even if Inner Circle wins, big blow off, are we not going to see Dan Lambert and top team anymore? Is it just going to be Men of the Year by themselves?
If I could be honest with you, and we give WWE a lot of shit for this, so I'm going to give AEW a little bit of shit for this too. I'm not super in on Men of the Year, and in my opinion, it's like, why break up SoCal Uncensored if you're just going to have all of them not do anything and then just have Scorpio Sky and another tag team? Like, just why did you break them up to do this?
I wouldn't. I like if he was part of a stable, and I know it's kind of saying the same thing because SCU's a stable, right? But you know, say Daniels didn't want to wrestle anymore. He didn't want to be active, and that's why they did all that. You know, I'm not going to take away from that. But as far as like a difference in booking, like it's going to sound outlandish, but I would even like I like him in where he's at now. I don't know how long he has in that role, because I don't see that stable lasting that long, because they don't, you know, have a whole lot of star power behind it. But I could see a guy like Hobbs joining Men of the Year and making it like a well-rounded stable, 3-man group. You know what I mean? Even maybe somebody like Wardlow. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to leave in not Inner Circle, Pinnacle or MJF though, but you know, guys that are just like some heavy, a guy that's a heavy, you know what I mean? That, you know, where Ethan and that guy can go do something as a tag team, and Scorpio can finally, you know, fucking go for the TNT championship like he should have had a chance. I mean, I know he had a chance against Darby, but it was just like, dude, how this guy's a great worker. If that's a worker's title, he definitely should have been at least touched it a few times. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I'm a big Scorpio Sky fan. I've been watching.
I am as well. I mean, I get sick of the stuff he's doing right now, because he's coming off as like, I know, like, yeah, the whole cocky heel thing, but it's like he kind of does like the stereotypical, I don't want to say stereotypical, but kind of stereotypical in the sense of stereotypical heel playbook stuff, like you know what I mean, where it's almost kind of like how, like, when Keith Lee will try to do a promo, and you know, we talk about how he sounds like he's trying to, you know, wax poetic and trying to just hit a monologue real quick. It's kind of the same thing with Scorpio at times, but it's like, dude, if he was a serious heel, like at one point he was doing the whole Kobe ice in my vein shit, like I wanted more of that, as opposed to him like, look at how I'm dressed, GQ, you know, personality. But anyways,
if I'm going to throw something out there real quick, and then we'll get off the subject, is I do think America's Top Team, like, they're going to be affiliated, so there'll always be maybe 1 or 2 people lingering with the Men of the Year, but it won't be this huge ass thing that's been for the last month or so.
Yeah, but I don't want to see Dos Santos on Elevation getting his reps in.
But what I think would kind of fit the mold a little bit, and I know we talked about Inner Circle, kind of, we haven't talked about, unless you and Mac have, but Jericho's mentioned that he kind of wants Inner Circle to eventually quietly, peacefully kind of go off and do their own thing, but they're always in the Inner Circle, but they're not like together.
Yeah, it's just like a bond. Like if something were ever to go down, you
Right.
know, they might have their back, or
But
just off of relation. Yeah.
not to stereotype who they're going against, but Jake Hager would fit that America's Top Talent mold.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I'm correct, and I may be wrong, I don't remember seeing. I don't think he was there on Dynamite, right?
I don't think so.
Which
I was
that
out.
was
Yeah, I watched the
which
segment.
I was kind of curious about that. I was like, oh, so you're not there, and the time you're not there, your boys get jumped. You know what I mean?
Because you can make it where like Hager's fighting all these people, right? Because and I might just be stretching this, but like in combat sports, they have this thing where it's like, we're fighting each other, we talk a lot of shit, but then we
Yeah.
respectfully fight, and then it's over. That doesn't happen all the time, but it happens.
That's more traditional. Yeah,
So
it's
you
part
can
of the
see
culture.
Hager competitively fighting some of these people in the match, but when it comes to Chris Jericho beating up Lambert, maybe he turns on Jericho then. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't put his hands on Lambert or something like that. But
Yeah, he's not gonna. He's like, but dude, this is this is the guy that owns, like, what I mean. He's not a fighter kind of thing or whatever. Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm stretching. I honestly think at the end of this, it's just Inner Circle is going to win.
Yeah. The only reason why I want to get past is because I feel like this next one we're gonna definitely be talking a little bit. CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. Goddamn, that was a great promo clinic. I did enjoy what they did on Wednesday or on Dynamite. It was short and sweet. They didn't have to have a whole nother. They didn't need to try to emulate what just happened on Friday.
Right.
Them just having there's something going on in the back, and them having to be held back and stuff like that. It did what it was supposed to do.
I'm sure there might be something on Rampage too.
I'm pretty sure there might. I mean, because at first I'm thinking, oh, we got this promo video kind of giving us a look back, and then I'm like, oh, there's some shit going on. I'm like, okay, that reminding people what happened, and then adding that other segment on the bottom, I was like, that was cake. So I thought that was good. But I'm going with Punk for 8 points.
Okay, I'm going Punk for 9 points.
Oh wow, okay. I thought I was being bold because Mac had Punk for 6 points.
It's one thing, and I even put this on Twitter when I was talking to some of my other wrestling friends. I said, the moment when Kingston said, "I don't care if I win or lose, I just want to beat you up," I was like, Punk's gonna win this match. It doesn't matter how good anybody looks. It's just Punk's gonna win the match.
I mean, he may win the match just because he refuses to stop beating them up at the count of 5 or something. You know what I mean? Like, it could be something where it fits his character because he doesn't know. Like, there was that one thing he said the other day when he was going up against Bryan Danielson. He says that he takes Zoloft every morning so it doesn't freaking go off on people. You know what I mean? So what if maybe that's the day he decides to, oops, I forgot to take it. I'm about to go off on Phil. You know what I mean? So, which would be a great story from a storyline perspective. It'd be great. But I mean, like I said, if we can get more moments that feel this real, I think this is the best thing Punk has done. Love the match he had with Darby, obviously. The in-between has been up and down. I love the matches he's having consistency-wise. Obviously, he's not keeping up the same schedule as, like a Daniel Bryan. But, I have been enjoying what he's been doing. But this is by far probably the more this is what he wanted. He talked about, if I'm coming back, I need something great to sink my teeth into creatively. I need to know who I'm working, what I'm going to be doing. This is great. I think this is one of those things where not all the time, WWE has a hard time doing this. They always have to try to force stuff or try to hotshot feuds just to fill up a card. This could have been even on TV, but the fact that this is one of those matches where they say this doesn't need a title in it. You know what I mean? It's gonna be knockout, drag out, all that shit. You know what I mean?
And when fans look back at Punk's career, they're probably gonna go looking match to match from his pay-per-views, right? So we could look at the in-between stuff that's been on TV, and that's what we're gonna do because we're wrestling fans. But most likely 5 years from now, we're gonna like, hey, remember that Punk run? We're gonna look at, he first fought Darby Allin, then he fought Kingston, which you would think are very solid matches to come back to, and then he'll probably move up the ladder a little bit more.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
So I think and to be honest, if Kingston didn't make that line, which maybe I'm overthinking it now, and I'm like, maybe Kingston just said that so we would think he's gonna lose, and maybe this is Punk's first loss, because Punk is undefeated, and maybe this kind of puts Punk in his place. But I do think since Kingston made that comment, it's so he could.
It's almost like to me, I felt like it was it doubled to me because whereas you got Dan Lambert, which as soon as he said, "Oh, I'm number one member of top team," but we always got all these other guys. As soon as he said that, I was like, okay, they're gonna pick him because he just said he's number one. There's a difference between Cena coming from a mile away. This was like, hey, this could be also a thinly veiled loophole, but at the same time, it works because this is it within Eddie Kingston's character. Like, I just want to fucking fight. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's illustrated it. He's displayed that with the segments he's been in, not even just with Punk, but from him and Mox, him and Lance Archer as well. So it's like when he said it, I didn't think anything of it at first, but then like now that you bring it up, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That could be the way out. I mean, I was wondering how this match was going to go. I thought for sure maybe he would choke him out, kind of the same way Danielson, pretty much choked him out for the Eliminator finals, but. I mean, either way, I know it's going to be real interesting. It's going to be a real interesting match.
It might not, from a technicality standpoint, it might not be the match of the night, but I think it's going to be the most dramatic and entertaining match of the night. If I'm going to be Kenny,
that's the thing.
Kenny versus Page.
I was going to say because I was going to ask at the very end. That's why I was hoping for Mac to be on. I wanted to get his opinion on what he thought was going to be the match of the night. Between the one we just covered and this next one we're going to get. I mean, there's a lot after this, dude. Because after this is Darby Allin versus MJF, and this is another pair of guys that have been having a great war of words as well. And the thing that I love about it is theirs doesn't feel the same as Punk and Eddie. It's different. It's totally. I mean, someone would even say generationally different, just because of age range and stuff like that. Between, you got these two veterans between Punk and Kingston, and you got the new guys who are, like you said, the pillars and all that. I've been digging MJF. I've been giving him crap because the last couple of months he hasn't been on his game as the MJF promo that you're always talking about the next time. You know what I mean? Sometimes it felt like it was like, okay, now we're going into shock jock mode and saying just the shit the worst shit we can get away with on live TV. But that's not necessarily a great promo. You know what I mean? The stuff he's been doing with Darby has been real articulate, deliberate, but still within his character so much. And the way he's been delivering it, I've been loving it. Darby is always on point with the way he does his thing. I'm looking forward to this a lot. With all that said, I got Darby for 1 point because this is one of those matches where this could really go, like we said before, left or right. It can go this way or that way. Like, because Darby's a guy that can take an L. MJF doesn't take a lot. I think he's only had one L, and I think it was tag match. So, it's one of those things where it can go either way, but I think Darby needs it more. But I gave him 1 point for it. Mac also had Darby at 1 point.
So this is the match where I was like, all right, I'm going for it.
Yeah, this is winner. This is this one, and I think the main event is those are the two that are just like give or take.
So I have MJF for 7 points.
Oh wow, okay.
So
you might seal the deal if that yeah.
Because in my opinion, Darby could take an L more than MJF could take an L.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And also, I believe, according to Tony Khan's notepad, Punk was supposed to face Wardlow, which was going to build into an MJF feud. And I believe MJF going into a Punk feud in the future, you want MJF to kind of build his stature. So I looked at it as more so, and this is gonna make some wrestling fans maybe a little annoyed with how I'm gonna take this, but this was just to kind of get MJF on the card. But they ended up having
you're right, because if you look back at a lot of their pay-per-views, he's not always on every pay-per-view. He's not. I mean, and even in matches on TV, he's very seldom featured. But he'll have. I mean, he's had more promos and segments than he's had in-ring action this year, which obviously by design. That's kind of a old school wrestling secret, but it's also by presentation design too. But you're right, though. You know what I mean?
It felt like the MJF Chris Jericho stuff legitimately took forever. And
it took. Like I said, they oh my god, they booked it backwards, man. That's what they did. But
and so now it's MJF's opportunity to kind of get away from that. I think that's even probably maybe why they haven't done too much Pinnacle stuff too. Is like Pinnacle's great now, but it shouldn't be about Pinnacle. It should be about MJF. And I think this is a way for them to give him a solid win. But at the I was looking at all these other things, and I was like, I'm actually pretty confident in MJF, and that's why I gave him 7 points. But I know like Darby is a fan favorite, and he could use a win after dropping the TNT Championship a while back and then losing the Punk and all that. He could use a win as well because he is another important piece of this young roster. But I think MJF needs it more.
Yeah, I see. I don't know because he has the diamond, the dynamite diamond ring. He's always, you know what I mean. That he kind of can call a shot and just go against anyone he wants, just based anytime they want to give him TV time. In that sense, Darby has also the uncanny ability that not a lot of people possess, and that's looking impressive and leaving a lasting impression with a loss.
He kind of reminds me of Jeff Hardy when Jeff Hardy was going for the world championship in like the 2000s. Yeah, he had the good match against Undertaker. Then he lost to Triple H 100 times. And then he finally won.
Yeah,
but then he lost it right away. And I think Darby's in that mold as well. Kind of just like he could constantly lose, but be booked against these top tier people.
Yeah, I think like with him, he has like he's like a few matches away from getting propelled back because his matches are what speak for him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The thing is,
but that's I was just gonna say because the reason I had brought that up with his ability to lose with grace in a way is he keeps talking about having an actual traditional wrestling match with this. So that's what's got me intrigued about their matchup is maybe he actually beats MJF at his own game. But even if he does go that route and still ends up losing, there's no shame on him. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
The thing is, AEW needs to, and I think they're doing a good job, but like especially with all the new talent they're bringing in, like Adam Cole, Danny Bryan, CM Punk, and then they might bring in some of these new releases that are just been released. It's looking like some people that have already been on the roster are now in a position where they're kind of shifting down a little bit, but not like in a bad way. It's just like
priority wise. Yeah.
Just got them. All you have to do is kind of keep them relevant and floating. And then eventually some of these people are going to fall out of it because they were in it for a long time. And then that's when you move back up. And I think that's what they have to do with MJF because it wasn't too long ago he was in the main event scene, but now it just seems like he's not on the same level as Adam Cole and all these other people that should be always, like, for example, eventually we're going to get Daniel Bryan. Like, not all these people are going to win a title, but eventually we're going to get Daniel Bryan and stuff like that.
Brian Danielson.
I mean, Brian Danielson, my bad. And then we're going to
get used to it again, man. Yes.
Yeah. And then like eventually, so we're going to get all these people in the mix there. And eventually MJF is going to get put back in it, but that might be for a while because like we're going to have to make some time for Adam Cole eventually. We're going to have to make some time for a lot of these people. So but the thing is with MJF and Darby Allin,
I mean, but we could see him mixing up with these guys if they actually let these guys fucking touch, dude. Because like Adam Cole versus a guy like MJF on the sticks would be great. But I know it's taboo, it's heel versus heel and all this, but it's like he's a tweener. I don't know. But I hear what you're saying. I think that the extended Inner Circle Pinnacle thing definitely hurt his stock a little bit because he went for the title against Moxley in 2020 at was it Full Gear or was it Double or Nothing? Maybe it was Double or Nothing. No, all out. It was all out. But I don't know. It's I think MJF. He's still treated as special and exclusive though, so I think he still has that going for him. He just needs something like I agree with you to kind of launch pad himself back up in that same discussion. But next we do have another one of those could go either way. Bryan Danielson versus Miro, Eliminator finals. Yep. I got Miro for 2 points, and surprisingly, Mac Lowe has Miro for 2 points as well. The reason I went this way, because everybody was like, oh, it's so evident Hangman's going to lose, and that way we get, Danielson and Omega again, but this time, he beats him for the title. That's how you do it. I'm like, yeah, but Danielson just got there, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds perfect, but I'm like, but then wouldn't it also like a perfect opponent for Hangman would be someone like a Miro, and I'm also thinking Miro kind of actually is when you look at Miro and his track record, he is a guy that could be the first person to also beat Bryan Danielson. You know what I mean? He's Bryan Danielson's biggest opponent to date outside of Minoru Suzuki. Like, I don't know how he's going to be trying to bend, him up and all these freaking Romero sleepers and all that shit. It's going to be interesting. That's and not to mention he can't outstrike as far as strength and power in the strikes. Miro for that point, but they're gonna kill each other. They're really gonna kill each other. Is what they. But I'm looking forward to that, which is why I'm like, I think Miro stands a chance. Like, you had him drop the belt to Sammy, and Sammy ain't really done shit but get punched in the gut almost every other week. And get his ass whooped by top team. So it's like, dude,
I'll be honest. I feel like I made this podcast very difficult because it's supposed to be a short predictions episode, but I just keep going on these rants. But why give the title to Sammy if you're just going to throw him in this faction feud? And this is my issue with some of the factions in AEW is it kind of like becomes a black hole on some of these individual wrestlers' trajectories. Like it's like you just won a TNT championship, but you're stuck in this feud. Like maybe it's going to lead to something after, but like you just won the title. Defend the title.
I mean, I was thinking he should have defended it against Scorpio Sky since he already defended it against Ethan Page. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think a program between them would be a good program, to be honest.
And we might get that after this, but it's just like it's just a thought.
I'm just kind of over the inner circle spectacle main attraction matches. Like we already get the Stadium Stampede. All right, cool. But they don't have to be involved with everything, like the blood and guts, and now this, and now we never had we had the Mimosa match, and now we got this. It's like, can we get a first without you guys involved? You guys don't always need to have this group warfare stuff all the time. And I mean, though I do like seeing them reunited, I don't need it for the necessity of putting them on the card like you were saying with MJF. But yeah, anyways, I got Miro for 2. Matt got Miro for 2. Who'd you have?
I have Danielson for 4.
That's fair.
I went back and forth on this, and I was like, okay, in my opinion, and I kind of made this point at the beginning of the podcast, is I think Miro is a very good television championship match for either Hangman or Omega, right? Like you have that if they do another Winners Coming or something, Miro versus the champion. I think like that'd be a good match. But I thought about it, and you even made the point. You're like, if Page won the championship, Miro would not be a bad first opponent, right? I think what makes this situation kind of tough is it's not like the winner of this is going to be at a pay-per-view because in my opinion, Danielson is a pay-per-view number 1 contender, whereas Miro's kind of more of a TV number 1 contender at this point. I'm not saying that's a shot.
It's not a bad thing. Yeah, it's just based on what they've been doing lately. And yeah.
So, but then I thought about it. You have a TV special. Page just won his championship, and his first win as the champion is giving Danielson his first loss. Is that would put Page even more over as champion. But what the cool thing about this match is with
that Miro, because the fact if he's able to beat not only just Omega but then Danielson too, and because Danielson and Omega went to a draw and nobody won, like that'd be pretty huge for him. Yeah.
So I'm going with Bryan because I think it's the right call more so than. But it could go either way.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that faces can fight faces. That's why I'm like, no, it's probably gonna be Miro because he's that's pretty. Yeah, I'm not against that at all. Honestly, any scenario I'd be happy with. I just want to see. I just can't. I don't. I mean, we'll get on that at the main event. But
I was gonna say real quick, like Miro replaced Moxley. If Moxley was in this match, I probably would have said Danielson anyways because like Moxley's great and all, but Danielson would gain more from winning that match, whereas like getting a TV match with Moxley in December, it is what it is, So but adding Miro is we have 2 people who get their first championship match out of this, so that's what makes it like where it's a little bit more like 50-50.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Then we got the last 3 matches here, all championship matches. Which again, when we take a look at all the ones that we had so much to talk about, and none of them were for a fucking championship. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Lucha Bros versus FTR. AEW Tag Team Championships. I was wondering why it wasn't a double tag team championship match with them defending the
Do you think it's because they're trying to book that AAA triple threat match?
Between who?
Lucha Bros, FTR, because I think FTR is going to do some tapings down there. And
I'm pretty sure they will.
And I forgot who the other team is, but I have this vibe that the other team's going to win, so that keeps the titles down there.
Possibly. That's probably what they're going to have to do. I am liking what they're doing with the belts, though. With that said, as big of an FTR fan I am, I believe that the Lucha Bros are still going to hold on to the championships, and I got them locked in for 7 points.
I got them for 8, and Mac has them for 5.
Yeah, Mac has them for 5.
Just simple, in my opinion. Like
you said 8, yeah, because I feel like they've only defended them once, right? And I was on a Rampage.
Yeah,
against what, Butcher and Blade, and that was it.
This would be a big match for the Lucha Bros to win to elevate their title run. And I believe since FTR took the other titles, you wouldn't take both titles off the Lucha Bros.
It's kind of like the Kenny Omega Christian Cage situation with the Impact title and the AEW title, but it's going to be a great match though. Especially when you got FTR, formerly the Revival, who their whole mantra back in NXT was no flips, just fists. So this is going to be kind of literally that. And it's
going to be a good match.
It's going to be, after that, we have the AEW Women's Championship match. Britt Baker, the reigning champion, taking on the number 1 contender, Conti. I went all in, man. I went Baker for 10.
I went Baker for 10 as well.
And we got Mac Lowe with Baker for 9.
This is, in my opinion, the only guaranteed match for sure.
I would dare even say that just because of process of elimination, this may be by default the bathroom match, even possibly the street fight. But only because, like, if people already have kind of an inkling of how the match is going to go, they may think they have time to take a 10-minute trip to the bathroom and come back. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm just saying, like, all these other ones, you want to stay and figure out what the fuck's going on. Conti's great. I love her. She's gonna have a great match regardless, but I'm just saying in the frame of the fact that Baker usually has 2 of her homegirls on deck at all times. I think we kind of.
I think the goal is to make Conti look like she could be in this main event scene, though. You know.
Yeah. No. And that should be the plan. Every person that Baker gets in there with that hasn't been in that spot before, she needs to make it seem like they deserve to be there, and then that way we can get acclimated and used to seeing them there more and more and more, and that way we actually feel like we have more of a fleshed out women's division instead of people that are just getting randomly picked to go up against her. But it's been good. The women's division has been getting better. So
the only take I have from this, which kind of is frustrating, is if they think highly enough of Conti to put her in this match, then she should be in the TBS tournament.
Do you think as opposed to being a number 1 contender for the world title?
Like, obviously you'd want the championship match, right? But I mean,
as a
booking situation,
because she could have switched her out with somebody else that was already
like for example, we're making the case that like someone like Shida and Rosa and maybe even Nyla Rose are more main event caliber wrestlers, so they necessarily shouldn't be in the TBS championship picture. So to make that case, put Shida in this match, because you could have a banger of a match, even if the builds whatever, and Conti's in the TBS championship where she has an opportunity to bolster her. In my opinion, I'm also going to make the case that Conti can maybe do more for her career by looking really good in this match than she could even in the TBS tournament. So I'm not entirely against it, but I'm just kind of like in that position where I'm like, Conti's probably going to lose and then drop out of the main event scene, and then she's also not.
I see what you're saying. Whereas if she is going to take an L eventually in the tournament, she can still look very good with a lot of these matches on a week-to-week basis and still have a lasting impression. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that's not going to be the case that she drops off. I mean, obviously that seems like, okay, now it was your turn. Now back to the line, and we're going to go through the cycle again, right? But I think she's special. I mean, I only say that because of the way that she gets featured on TV. Only time will tell. I mean, who knows who's going to cross the line, who's, how the priorities are going to be. But I I think she's going to have the match of her career, which is what she's supposed to be having. And, so I have no doubt that she's either way going to come out on the other side better. Let's just hope and have some faith in her future booking post Full Gear. But we'll have to, just wait and find out. But last but not least, we got the main event. We got Kenny Omega, reigning champion for the reigning AEW champion, putting the belt on the line against Hangman Page. I mean, this is what, a year in the making, more than a year. I mean, a year from the last time they faced, which was the last Full Gear for the Eliminator finals. I'm excited for this match. I know a lot of people think it's too poetic. It's too obvious of a move to give it to Hangman, but I'm like, with Moxley out for now, because I was even contemplating maybe he's going to get his title back within a year's time of when he got screwed out of it, right? But I mean, who else would you say is a top babyface right now for AEW that could beat Kenny Omega?
Well, also, if Page doesn't win it now, when does he win it?
Well, I don't think. I mean, are you guys gonna have him lose again for like, this is almost like the third time in a row, right? I mean, they had the Full Gear finals, and then they pretty much illustrated it in that the contract signing, the whole promo video for it. I'm like pretty much watching everyone succeed and him just having to, be surrounded by his failures and insecurities and having to, try to pick himself back up all the time. So it's like, are we really going to do that to him again? I mean, this is the most confident we've seen him. I would argue that this may be his time, but I think that there might be some sort of post-match. I mean, the only long story short, I got Hangman Page down for 5 points. I've been a Hangman Page fan for a while, so I think this may be his crowning moment. The crowd seems to really be hot into him. I was worried with him leaving and then trying to come back to get back in the mix. He kind of would have lost it a little bit, but he kind of cut the bullshit out. I mean, again, he's shown the new, focus of the character, so to speak. So I'm hoping this is going to culminate in a big night for him, which, it's always great for wrestling fans to get that. But I'd be lying if I didn't think that in the back of my mind, and I know he's already been in the news, so I don't know if this is even, going to be doable based on schedule wise, but I could see him either winning or getting screwed out of winning with some interference with the Bray Wyatt popping up. I know it sounds outlandish, but if you kind of take into account where he may screw him because he's like, dude, you're not the leader of the Dark Order, I am, type of thing or something.
Or if you're not respecting the Dark Order by not being officially the leader, because like Hangman kind of has that like, hey, this is my group, but I'm not.
I'm not gonna wear a shirt with their logo on it, but those are still my guys. Like, but yeah, I'm sorry. I had Hangman Page for 5. Mac had Hangman Page for 4.
Page for 6.
Page for 6. Okay. I'm actually surprised that we all had the same pick for this one.
Yeah. My thing with AEW is if you don't do it now, then and I do believe Page deserves to do it on pay-per-view and not TV. Even though if you went on TV, that's great. But if you're not going to do it now, then you have to wait till February to do this. If you try to do it again,
I mean,
how do you continue the storyline for another 5 months without fans going like, all right, like I do think
they would have to. I mean, because that's the thing. Like, he would have to be pushed as big as someone like a Kenny Omega for that to happen, because he's the only one that really won the title. He had a title change on TV. You know what I mean? That's how he won the title. But he's Kenny Omega, so he can do that.
Right.
Can Hangman? I don't know.
And it was on the same night where like Sting was debuting, so it's kind of like
it was a big night for a lot of
Sting might have got people to tune in, and then Kenny won.
True. Very true.
And the timing was perfect for Kenny to win. The situation here is, all right, you want to do Hangman to win at Winter is Coming or something, if they do that again, or at that Battle of the Belts or something. Sure, but in my opinion, this build has been for a pay-per-view win, and If you don't do
I
it now,
believe so. I agree. Yeah.
if you don't do it now, then I guess you could have like Daniel Bryan or Miro versus Kenny Omega in December, and then you could kind of get some things going there, and then reintroduce Hangman in February or something. But it's like you're just doing the same recycled thing where
I
it's
was gonna
like,
say like, but why even wait again? I feel like the only reason why they waited this long is because they wanted to make sure that they actually had more fans for the moment. You know what I mean? Plus, he had the pregnancy going on with his wife, so it's like, I feel like if not now, then don't ever. To me, I know it sounds harsh, but it's like, come on, man.
if you don't do it now, then he's just not going to take the title off Kenny. Like the thing is, Kenny needs to eventually lose the title to somebody too, and his time for to lose the title is at least by next Double or Nothing ish. You know, like there's plenty of people who need to be put in the main event picture, in my opinion. And if we're just stalling it with this Hangman thing that you've been wanting to do for a while, I appreciate that they're still doing it, but like, all
But
right,
sometimes it's like too little, too late.
put the title on Hangman, or
Especially
somebody else.
If you guys keep bringing people in, then it's like, well, don't log jam everybody in because you want to just you just got to get this in. You know what I mean? Sometimes plans change, and you got to roll with the punches. But I'm willing to bet they're gonna give it to Hangman. I think he deserves it, and it's gonna be honestly exciting to see somebody who's, I don't want to say that Hangman's not established, but when you look at the past champions and Jericho, Moxley, Omega, like these are people who their work is already known. Hangman, he's kind of a newer name, not for people like me and you, but in terms of like face value and popularity. Like I think this is going to be something that this could be one of their very first. Like I wouldn't say that he's a homegrown AEW talent because he was someone when he came in, but he could be their very first young upstart champion away from the name value guys. You know what I mean? That they can produce. So I'm interested in that and very invested in the journey of how he's going to be as a top guy. Is he going to turn heel? Is he going to turn face or keep face? The challenges he can face, even the forbidden doors that could open his way just for the sake of him holding that championship. I'm very excited. So
with him being as young as he is too, those out there, he can win the championship, have a mini solid run where he gets to maybe Double or Nothing, and then maybe even loses the title, and then he could go on the chase again eventually after a while. And I think like the chase with Hangman Page is something they really got going. So like
they really invest in that. They do. Yeah.
So they could introduce that again later down the line. So like the thing is like he doesn't necessarily have to hold the title forever. We just
but that first one's gonna help him for whenever he gets that next one, and
right, because like if he goes in here and he beats Daniel Bryan in December or January or something like that, and then goes on beats somebody else at Revolution, or maybe has a rematch against Danielson, and then goes to Double or Nothing, beats that person, and then maybe he loses the title at All Out. So like he could have a good solid run, but like it doesn't have to be like a year-long run like the last two champions had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say we don't need to see him for the whole year, and I think that's what makes it interesting is because he opens the door for other people that could possibly beat him for that championship. Moxley and Jericho, they had an impression that they put on where it was like, Jericho more than others, where it had to be somebody top tier that was going to take the belt off of him. Moxley held that belt for a while and made sure that it had to be someone top tier that took the belt off of him, and Omega. So with Hangman, not to say that it can't be someone top tier, but he can help build someone that's not there yet up to that level. And I think that's what makes it a little bit more exciting. We get a little bit more.
We were talking about MJF. We were talking about MJF, and he could get major heat if he's the one who took the title off Page.
Yeah, he would, and in turn, huge support for Hangman. Yeah, which is the trade-off.
And then you still have Adam Cole in the mix and other people they bring in, and Punk and
and who knows if he finds like an old friend, or I know nobody I have in mind, but maybe a new friend, because he's gonna have to do something about Wardlow at some point, right? So again, all that stuff exciting. I know we're talking a little bit in the future. We're already talking like he has the belt, but that's how it is on the Flow Show, man. We got these hot takes, man, but definitely want to thank y'all for checking us out. I know it's kind of weird. We dropped one of two episodes this week. We had to get into predictions, man, because there's a lot of stuff going on in wrestling right now, man. And it would have been probably a 3-hour podcast if we would have tried to do this on a Saturday, which is when we usually try to do this, but we definitely wouldn't have been able to get the predictions out in time. especially in time for Full Gear. But thank you guys. Let us know what you guys feel like is going to happen at Full Gear. If it is, if anyone going to lose their title, who's is going to be a new champion? CM Punk going to lose? Is Eddie Kingston going to upset him? Is Darby going to beat MJ? We want to hear it all, man. You think someone's going to debut one of these recently released people? Not obviously last week. It hasn't been 30 days or 90 days yet, but let us know how you feel, man. This is part of the excitement of being a wrestling fan. This is the go home week. For Full Gear, I should say. And you could always check us out, man. Follow us everywhere on social media, man. That is Flow Wrestling Pod on Twitter and Flow Wrestling Show on Instagram as well. Dropping every week, man, on our YouTube as well as SoundCloud, man. And yeah, you can follow us. I'm at Quincy Jones Go. That's at Brian Andrew _ And don't forget to check us out, man, every week. This has been the Flow Show. Until later this week. I would say next week, but we got another one. Until next time, later this week, hopefully featuring Mac Lowe as well. I think we're going to be talking about the women's list, so that should be pretty exciting. Anyways, man, you guys have a good one. See you later this week. Peace.
Later.